Hey everybody, how you doing? This is Mini Week 70 coming to you. I'm about to start doing these little football blog videos. Um, there's I'm mainly gonna be talking about the Ravens. I'm a Ravens fan, so I'm gonna talk about that loss that we suffered from yesterday. But I'm also gonna be talking about a little bit of other like football related news. So if you care to indulge me for a little bit, I'd appreciate it. I'm gonna talk about this loss from yesterday. We lost 17-40. We didn't start putting any points on the board until about the fourth quarter. We had all our four stringers out there, so neither our first, second, or third teams could put any points on the board. I was pretty disappointed with it. I thought this would have been a competitive game, something that we could have definitely edged out. I understand that it's just preseason. I mean, I want to see my guys win regardless. I don't care if it's the regular season. I don't care if it's the preseason, off season, postseason. I just sputtered that out there randomly. I didn't put it in the correct order, but whatever. I want to see my guys win regardless. So I mean, it was a hurtful loss, but at the same time, I realized that this game really doesn't mean that much of anything. It really doesn't, and the preseason really isn't too much of an indication on how well a team will have success. And that's what a lot of people tend to think. I mean, we had four preseason games in the 2000 season, and we won all of them, and we ended up winning the Super Bowl also. But I mean, there have been teams like the Giants last year. They won all four of their preseason games, and they actually had five. Actually, I forgot they played the Hall of Fame game versus the Buffalo Bills, but they played. They won all of their preseason games, and they were ended up 6-10 in the season. Um, we won all of our preseason games also last year, and we had a terrible loss, week one versus the Cincinnati Bengals. And I mean, the best example thus far is the '08 Detroit Lions. They won all four of their preseason games, and they didn't win a single regular season game at all. So, um, we shouldn't, at least Ravens fans, we shouldn't really worry about it. Um, I mean, we had a 17-39 loss, just 1 point less than when we lost yesterday to the Rams. Week four, preseason 2012, and we won the Super Bowl that year. So I mean, it's nothing. And one thing about it is that it's best to have these blowout losses very early, especially in the preseason. So a few takeaways from this game, I'd say, well, Joe Flacco really gambled a bit, especially on that first pass. I don't really see Kamar Aiken as much of a down the field guy. We need somebody to fill that void at the moment. Of course, my personal preference is Steve Smith. He hasn't been getting a lot of reps. We definitely have to preserve him for the regular season. So I mean, Kamar Aiken is a good guy to have, but it was a pretty underthrown ball by Flacco. It bounced off of one of the defenders' shoulder pads, and another defender caught it, brought it back. The second interception he had that game was also, it was thrown to Marlon Brown. He was intending to, but he overthrew him for whatever reason. I don't know, and I didn't really plan. I didn't think we would have those setbacks, especially when we came out running very heavily in the game. And so the run offense is still there. It's good, and we didn't play with that many offensive linemen. Uh, some of our guys have had a little bit of minor setbacks. They should be ready for week one, but I mean, this guy, number 66, I forgot what his name was, Jensen or something. This guy, I mean, he really contributed to a lot of the flags that were thrown. I mean, we had like a lot of false starts, early starts, and just based off of that, and he contributed to a lot of those. I think that we should definitely cut him. So I mean, but that definitely shows how much of a difference that O line will make just to have it. Because since we really didn't have our full starting O line, I mean, we just played like shit, honestly. Um, I mean, it was a ridiculous amount of flags thrown on both sides, especially the defensive side. I really thought we would have had some good stability there. Our secondary is still searching for its identity. Everybody wants to talk about this Terrell Suggs hit on Sam Bradford, and I mean, I did some research into it, and since he wasn't a passer in that situation, in that run option, when he handed it off to DeMarco Murray, I think, was running out there. I might not be too sure about that. But, I mean, I don't think it was a dirty hit. Everybody is just, they're associating it with a dirty hit because of what type of player Terrell Suggs is, also at the same time the fact that Sam Bradford has a history of injuries. But at the same time, if you're going to have a run option offense, and, I mean, you have that option for that quarterback to hand the ball off to the halfback. But, I mean, maybe it just happens so fast that, you see this guy just running straight to you, and he hits you. You have to just be aware that your quarterback may get hit in those situations. So if you're not confident for your quarterback to get hit in those situations, he shouldn't have been out there. And I mean, we kept hitting him. We kept hitting Sam Bradford. I mean, I saw him get up one time. He was really hurt, and I was like, the best thing that Chip Kelly could do is take him out the game, because I mean, they're gambling on this guy for the regular season. They definitely need him. I don't necessarily see Mark Sanchez as somebody who could thrive in his system, even though he completed, I think, 12 of 20 yesterday. I think Matt Barkley is more of the I think he's a better fit for Chip's system, just from how he played last week when he was 12 of 20 also, I think, last week. Matt Barkley was. And Tim Tebow, that one was a questionable acquisition. I still don't necessarily understand that acquisition. But, during about the fourth quarter, on that would have been touchdown, he had an option to run that ball in, and he had a wide receiver like right open, but he just wasn't confident enough to throw it to him on the run, so he ended up running it in himself. So just some questionable decision making, that Tebow has. I'll be surprised if he makes that squad. But back to the Ravens, though. I don't know if we really did much well last night. Too many flags thrown. Just couldn't catch a break anywhere. I mean, we had a ball strip in like the early about the second quarter. About to go to the third quarter. That got called back. We had this interception Mark Sanchez threw, but the defender stepped out of bounds also. Just couldn't catch a break anywhere. And I'm sitting here, I'm like, all right, there's a possibility for us to come back. But I'm so emotionally invested in these games. And then at the same time, it's just preseason. So what's the point? I mean, this is a competitive squad. I consider this just just something to learn from. We don't really have any familiarity with Chip Kelly's offense. The teams that would really have any familiarity with his offense and how it's run would be the Skins and Dallas, and also the Giants, since they play in the same division as them. And we didn't. They also said we didn't game plan for this game either, which I thought was a little bit questionable. With that being said, also I think that Chip Kelly does have a plan. They should play some competitive football this year. I mean, and I'm not gonna really feel bad about this loss, because I mean, they just blew the Colts out last week. Also, the Colts are gonna be in the playoffs. I mean, the Colts also lost their second preseason game. They're gonna be in the playoffs, so it doesn't really mean anything. I mean, I understand there are a lot of question marks around our team right now, but I mean, I'm choosing not to be worried about it, and any other Ravens fans out there, you should definitely not be worried about it either. Just, remember, it's preseason. These things happen. And it's best not to have a 4-0 jinx like that, because, I mean, it's a bit of a jinx to it. I mean, like I said, the Lions lost all of their regular season games. The Giants went 6-0. We had that terrible loss to Cincy week 1, and we also lost to them. We lost to them twice that season. I mean, I really did think, okay, since we won all 4 of our preseason games, we're definitely going to the Super Bowl, right? I mean, we were in prime position to get to a Super Bowl, but just not solely based off of preseason games, and that's not something that anybody should use as an indication for how a team is going to do in the regular season. So I would choose not to be worried about it. It's just, I'll just admit that we were overmatched that day. And it's just one day, you shrug it off, and we'll be back, so enough about that.